about to get into. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all think post prime is a sellout or not? Y'all chime in. Me personally, I don't really see post prime as a sellout. I see it as a movement. A lot of times, when it comes to Black America, and when I say that, look at Black people, Black and brown people, and then we look at white people that are not racist. That's what I consider Black America. But I don't consider post-prime a sellout. And if you look at the dictionary, the Urban Dictionary of the sellout, it also talks about artists, rappers, or singers that sell out in a sense, that just do whatever their managers, whatever people tell them to do. And we see a lot of them, talk about drugs, money, sex, violence, and all of this stuff, and nobody calls them a sellout. I had a comment on TikTok, and it said that, what about those? But looking at the situation with Deion Sanders, interesting when people were upset, people were in an uproar because Deion said that he came down there, and God told him. And so here's the thing: when God tells somebody to do something, it's for a certain time frame, it's for a season. And then if God gives him other instructions, that's what God is going to do. So if you look at the children of Israel when they had left Egypt, God did not tell them that when they got to the Red Sea that he was going to part it. He just told them to go. So watch this. They didn't get more information until they got there. So once they saw that Pharaoh was chasing them down, they went to Moses. And Moses was like, he went to God and he told him to put his staff into the water. And guess what? He parted the sea. So Dion said that God told him to go to Jackson State, and I believe that. And so once he gets to Jackson State, he stays there roughly about like 3 years, and then he ends up leaving and going to Colorado. Now, some people are upset because he went to go work for, as they call, the PWI, and so that's predominantly white institution. But we have to understand that even though we look at the oppressors, we look at slave masters. Thank you, Holy Spirit. That were white. There were actually some good white people, and I think in life sometimes we feel like that we shouldn't you know merge or what I'm saying, be with white people. But here's the thing: there are some good white people that actually are not racist. They actually have helped us. If you look at historical, when it comes to the Underground Railroad, Harriet Tubman, you know, she wasn't the only one that was help, was getting help. There was white folks that was helping, good white folks. And so we have to understand that. So really, does it seem like post prime went to Colorado and God told him to go? I believe that God told him to go because here's the thing: there is so much stuff when it comes to God. God will tell somebody to go somewhere, and here's the thing: people think it's supposed to be all grand. God will send somebody somewhere to expose something. And so let's go back when we look at Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan was having a water crisis, and we see that the president really didn't do anything about it. He didn't fix that situation. I was talking to somebody and I said, even Barack Obama could have put up a GoFundMe and, literally could have took that money and helped with the water supply. And when the Holy Spirit was talking to me, I said, the only way that this water supply is going to get taken care of is if we do it ourselves, meaning the people. So we look at Mississippi State, Jackson, Mississippi, Jackson State University, they were having a water problem. And so, I was watching a video and they were talking about a lot of the students were chiming in about Deion Sanders leaving and how they felt. And so the one girl at the end said, I'm still brushing my teeth out of a water bottle. That's a problem. That's a problem that needs to be fixed. And so we understand it's not going to be a national crisis um, with the president of the United States, as President Biden. They don't really care because if they did, that situation would be taken care of. I guarantee you, if that was Las Vegas, Nevada, or said Los Angeles, California, you know, it would be definitely taken care of, but it's not. And so what we see is that if we have a lot of resources, we should put these resources together and we should take care of something. So why am I saying that I believe that Deion Sanders is not a sellout? Because I believe that God told him to leave and to go to Colorado. And so here's the thing: when you get the bigger bag, you can help with bigger help. You can send more money back. And so it was said that Dion helped uh, put half of his salary towards updating facilities and everything like that. And the article came out that they already was having a facility, something was getting taken care of, but it wasn't done. It wasn't going to be done in enough time or whatever the case may be. But he still gave money. And so some people feel like he sold out. So my thing is, I was asking, is he really a sellout when he gave half of his salary? Also in the contract, it said if he leaves, he gets $300,000 he has to give back. But also, if he ended up, if the athletic director got fired, he would get an extra. He would get $300,000. So also too, Dion said one particular thing. He said either you get elevated or you get terminated. And so in his contract, if he had an 8 game winning season, he got an extra year. He got an extension. I haven't seen no extension. I haven't seen no articles on that. He had two undefeated seasons, did not get an extension. He had one more year. So you look at that, and then you look at the fact that here's Colorado that are giving him an opportunity to make roughly about $5 million a year. You know, his contract was about 5 years and 29.5 million, but with incentives is going to be greater than that. And so here's the other thing. One thing, I had that video that went viral on TikTok. It talked about when Dion was talking about when we talked about business. So some of y'all understand when you go deal with a black business and they don't understand customer service or anything like that. And it's not just saying like as if white businesses don't understand that Asians or whatever the case may be. So when we understand black business, what we want is we need people to do things like the Bible says in decent and in order. So Dion was supposed to get 10% of the ticket sales after it hit 30,000. So at that time, Jackson State roughly had about 33,000 students, or people that would come to the game. The stadium holds about 60,000. So anything after 30, he was supposed to get 10%. If he sold over 10,000 tickets, as far as season tickets, he's supposed to get 10%. So there was nothing that said that he was getting those things. And so here's the thing. One thing I know about God, God will not have his people stay somewhere for a longer period of time if they're not doing right. And so somebody was like, well, why would God do that? I'm like, well, it actually says that in and I'll get a phone call. Mom's calling. It actually says that, where God says in Mark 6:11, that's actually my birthday. If they do not receive your word, kick the dust off your feet as a testimony against it. And so, were they listening to that? So some people were saying that there was some mishandling of some money, and here's the interesting part as well too. How come nobody was calling any of these alumni sellouts that wasn't sending money back or anything like that as well too? So somebody was commenting something crazy on my on YouTube, so I had to definitely block them. So we definitely don't want none of that nasty stuff on there. So when you look at Dion was talking about there needs to be business, there needs to be structure. People didn't understand about leveraging, relationships and and those things. And so when we look at it, I didn't know, but I just found out thanks to Roland Martin that there is 107 HBCU. I was thinking maybe around like 13, but I could just name them off the top of my head. But I didn't know that it was that many. And so when I talk about that there was a blueprint that he gave, we talk about how a lot of times where black coaches do not get the proper opportunity, you know what I'm saying? Or they often get overlooked because of somebody else or whatever the case may be. And even if they have a better resume than a white candidate, that white candidate will normally get that opportunity. And so, how do we level the playing field? How do we, leverage and getting more opportunity? So, what Dion showed was if you go to an HBCU, give back to that HBCU so you can make it better for the next coach, and then go to, as they say, a PWI, predominantly white institution. You know what I'm saying? That's going to leverage and be able to level the playing field. Because here's the thing: one thing about things that trend, people like to copy things. So now that Dion has went there, their Twitter, their TikTok, like is jumping. Like their Instagram went up 100 and like 30%. You know what I'm saying? Overnight, people's gonna be buying tickets, jerseys is gonna be selling. You know what I'm saying? So here, this man, and they didn't even have the money to even pay people. So that's a blueprint of how we can get more opportunities to become black coaches. Now I heard that he might be having one of his coaches that was with him stay down there, but also the other thing that Dion was doing, he said, now my coaches can get paid. You know what I'm saying? If Dion was making 4 years, 1.2 million, those coaches aren't making that money. You know, a lot of times the head coach makes the most money. Very rare do you see a coordinator making more money than a head coach. It's possible, but rarely do you see that. And so Jackson State didn't even leverage the relationship with him, maybe to give him a contract extension or something like that. Because if you keep a person like that, you can keep this thing going on for a long time. And guess what? More and more people are going to come. They didn't think that Dion was going to be able to bring a 5-star recruit, and that's exactly what he did. He brought a 5-star recruit, and then he ends up going to Colorado, and he starts to get more players to come there. They're like that, and so people don't understand. Like this is the movement, and when I say that, because it's time for Black America to wake up. And when I say Black America, that not only is Black people, but it's also white people that are not racist. And so that's what Black America is. Because if you look at HBCUs, which is historically Black colleges, 20% of those universities have white students. And so, see, they understand the culture, and you know what I'm saying? And so we look at, do we really want to make this situation better for everybody? You know what I'm saying? So I like what Dion did. He's actually going to another university, but he gave back, to that. And so if we were to do that, and I seen a comment on TikTok where it said that we need to do an audit of these HBCUs and look at what we need to do as far as making them better business wise. Because here's one thing: if I had a nonprofit organization, or I was looking for a donation from you, and I did, and I didn't do right with that donation, and I came back to you the next year, more likely you're not going to give me the money because I'm not using the money properly. And so, like I said, here we have this water crisis, you know, that Dion may be able to help, and because we need to fix these infrastructures and things like that. That's something that I want to do. I want to put together something, a team, instead of nonprofit that's able to go in there and actually look at what do we need to get these things fixed. What do we need that we can do to make this better? Because I mean, that girl said that she's brushing her teeth with a water bottle. And so, I look at now, what I'm saying, how a lot of us just run the water, while we brushing our teeth, we just let it run, And so I understand that. But here's what I like that people don't understand when it comes to God. See, Isaiah 55:8 says, my ways are not your ways, my thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are higher than your ways as the heaven. And so what God is doing, and that's verse 9, what God is doing is a lot of times people think they know what God is doing, and they think it's going to go a certain way. And so God sent Dion down there for a certain period of time, and then God told him to leave. Because here's the thing: when he left, it became a controversy. A lot of people started to talk about Dion and all of this and why he left, and they call him sellout and everything like that, no matter what he did. And so we look at the situation now. A lot of videos are going viral on TikTok. I just duet a video of him talking about not going to the NFL. Nearly hit 60,000 views in saying almost what, about 2 days. So we look at this movement of like, how are Black people going to get together? How do we expect to do things better if we can't come together? You know what I'm saying? If we can't come together, I know some folks, you know, when they're like, well, well, you need to look up your history, and it's the oppressor, or it's the white man. I'm just like, so y'all don't look at the history where there was white people that helped us. Like, for example, there was this one white female, and I don't have her name, but I did someone, I had her name written down, and she was the wife and the husband, and she had 5 kids, and guess what? She was trying to help people during the movement, to get voted and everything like that. The civil rights movement. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And they literally killed her. She literally was killed by her own people, and so we have to, and so that's not really, talked about, and like somebody was talking about critical race theory, and I said, I don't, the thing about critical race theory is I want you to talk about the good white people. Let's talk about that, because if we talk about that, it's truly going to be a better movement. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really dove into a lot of what critical race theory was saying. I know some people were saying how they were trying to make white people look bad or whatever you're saying that. But let's talk about the good white people, because we have to look at that, that there is, bad people or people that do bad things in every ethnicity or every race. And to me, it's only really one race, and that's the human race, but there's different ethnicities and stuff like that. So what I like about this is this thing is what God is doing. God is moving in a way that's going to be better for his people. You know what I'm saying? And so we want those people that is going to have the influence like a Martin Luther King, or an influence like a Malcolm X, you know what I'm saying, that's going to be able to do something positive. And sometimes people are like, oh, well, our leaders get killed and everything. And I said, no, here's the thing. Muhammad Ali did not get killed, you know what I'm saying? And he was very vocal, and what we have today, think about it, right? When they killed John F. Kennedy, you know what I'm saying? And when they killed Abraham Lincoln wasn't the first person to free the slave, you know what I'm saying? And when he did, actually it was overturned. General Lee down in it was down in Savannah, Georgia, and they were fighting, and they told the slaves that were down. They said, listen, if y'all help us, we will free y'all. And so General Lee had made them free, but Lincoln had overturned it, turned it back. But then at some point he did go back and overturn and change his mind, and he ended up dying. And you look at it nowadays, think about it. You cannot kill the president. They got so much secret service, you can't even get close. It's not even funny. And so we look at, what we need is real leaders right now that's going to help, bring our people better. You know what I'm saying? And when I say that, I remember one time I said, our people. And so this white guy was like, oh, so you're talking about black people? I said, who told you? I said, who told you that? And I said, go ahead and say it. And he was like, well, you're black. And I said, well, let me give you a little history lesson on my mom's side. I said that my grandmother on my mom's side, she's part Irish, which we consider white, and she's part Asian. She's, what I'm saying, and with Native American, or, what I'm saying, and African American. I said, so you have that. And I said, so that's what I'm talking about. I said, also, too, if you believe in Jesus, then we're blood related, because I believe in that. And so, I know that God has called me to explain some things or some situations so that, we can get better as a society. So I started my podcast called Loki's Effect. And so to me, it's not about making America great again. It's about making America better for everyone. And so that's what I want to get to. And that's why, I picked this topic of, is Coach Prime a sellout? Because, a lot of people will take a few facts and they will just run with it. Oh, he left and he went to go do this. And some people bring up the fact that Eddie Robinson, coached at Grambling, I believe 56 years, and not everybody is going to do that. And so I had made a video, but TikTok, had banned it, you know what I'm saying? And I was just talking about history. And so they were like, well, they went to go work for the PWI, the predominantly white, institution. And I said, so if you look at Black Wall Street, which was Greenwood, you know what I'm saying? It was near Tulsa, you know what I'm saying? It was the Oklahoma. And so it said that many of them were servants. And so they actually got their money from being servants, and they started to put their money together. And so how else do we expect to get better opportunities, or how do we expect to get more money to be able to make a HBCU better? Because I know when I was recruited, they actually show you the facilities. And so that's a key, because if the facilities are not up to par, they don't have to be the state of the art like Alabama or something like that. But if the facilities not up to par, that can sway a young 18-year-old, 19-year-old decision. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's not, you like up to date. Like, what? Like, these are like old, like, And so when I went to Slippery Rock University, you know what I'm saying, that was one of the schools that was highly recruiting me. And they actually came through a snowstorm one time, and they actually ended up, coming back another time. And so they told me, it's like, listen, we don't have the locker room like that, but we're going to build one. We got some alumni donating, and they didn't have the weight room like that, but they did build it. And so, the locker room was nice. You know what I'm saying? But I did about 2 years and I left, came back 10 years. Um, but here's the thing. If we want HBCUs to be better, we have to look at what they're doing with the money. Is the money being misused? Because here's the thing. As an alumni, I wouldn't send money back to somewhere if they're mishandling money. And so that's what we need to understand when we're talking about business and relationships, because if you do right by somebody, guess what? They're more likely going to come back. And so here's the thing, the fact that Dion was putting part of his money back into the university, here's the thing. Like I told him, I said, if he was a sellout, I said, when you move to a different state, you take all the furniture with you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times you just sell the house. Now, there's some instances where people will sell the house and the furniture. You know what I'm saying? But I said what he did with his money from his salary, he actually left it there. Like I said, those facilities are not coming to Colorado. So the next coach will inherit that. And here's the thing, it will also be easier to recruit, because here's the other thing. When it comes to coaching, you want to be able to continue a legacy. So you want something to continue. And so I did hear, I have to do some more research on it, but they had a couple of videos that went viral where the video, song was saying, one monkey don't stop no show. And so people was like, oh, this is how they doing Dion. So I talked about that. But then I heard one person say that that's something that they play every uh, week. So I'm going to do research. I'm going to find out if that's something that they play, and have they been playing that for years before even Dion got there. And so, like I said, here's the thing, and why God allowed this, because God allowed this blueprint, because how do we want, how do we get better? And so some folks was like, oh yeah, Dion, he want to go to the NFL. And Dion said he don't want to go to the NFL. But maybe somebody on his coaching staff may go to the NFL. Maybe somebody on his coaching staff may end up, getting hired as a head coach in the NFL, or at another university or whatever. And so here's the thing: when you get the money, you can give back. And that's what I tell people all the time: when you get money, give back. And one of the things we were talking about was, I think it was Jim Irsay or John Irsay or something, but he is the actual owner of the Indianapolis Colts, which is an NFL team. And so a lot of people were upset, and I know Shannon Sharp was upset, but he said, Jeff Saturday is a good dude, and he said he had nothing to do with, nothing against Jeff Saturday, but they were like, well, I'm upset that a black coach didn't get the opportunity to be a head coach. Now, the owner of the coach understand the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule says you have to interview somebody, at least a black candidate. You don't have to hire them, but you have to give them the opportunity to interview. Now, we know sometimes they would said how some of them would just interview a black candidate and never even choose that person, but also make sure that they're going to choose somebody else, which is fine. And so we see that there's issues with that. And so what the Indianapolis Colts did was they actually hired a person mid-season. And so Jeff Saturday has never coached an NFL game in his life, but Jeff Saturday was like his friend, and he knows football. So I don't have a problem with that. And I know Shannon Sharp has something, but watch this. I don't have a problem, because here's the thing: there's not one NFL team that is owned by black people. Because here's the thing: if you own your NFL team, you can hire whoever you want. See, they don't understand the blueprint. And when I say the blueprint, if we had our own NFL team and we hired who we wanted to, if we achieve success, then guess what? A lot of times that team, a lot of other NFL teams will hire the coordinators. That's what they do. So how can we get mad at somebody that said, you know what, I'm going to hire my best friend? And he knew the Rooney Rule had nothing against mid-season, because sometimes these coaches don't make it the whole season. They they don't. Sometimes they see you at 1-6 or 1-7 or 0-6. They just get rid of you. So how we're going to get upset if we don't own an NFL team? See, when there's something like that, imagine we own an NFL team, we can hire who we want. And that's how, if you achieve success, then that coach may be able to go somewhere else, and they can actually, what I'm saying, get those opportunities. So that is the blueprint of doing that. But we got to start somewhere. What I'm saying, we got to start somewhere, and that's where we got to start. Like I said, I like what Dion did, because it was just a blueprint. Because here's the thing: Colorado wasn't that good last year. They was 1-11, and desperate people will do desperate things. That athletic director, listen, if they not having a great success, you're going to get fired. They will fire you and find somebody else real quick. And so what they understood was we got to get this person. They actually asked the AD. They said, "How are you going to pay Dion?" He said, "I don't know. We ain't even got the money." But he understands that they're going to be able to get the money to pay him. They're going to be able to get it because guess what? Ticket sales right now, Colorado University is the hottest college football team, the most interested football team right now because everybody's talking about it. Everybody eyes is going to be on Colorado. Whether he win or he lose the first, they're going to be on there. If he wins the first game, everybody's gonna be like, see, this is great. If he loses first game, they're gonna be like, see, he should never left. He got this. And everybody is talking about it right now. Like I said, one thing they don't understand is marketing. They said that when Dion was down there, I think he brought about like 150 million into the community. And so I believe that because here's the thing. I'm in state college, so I am near Penn State University, so that's the Nittany line. They literally will pay a team upwards of 1 million to 1.5 million. Now, this is a team that they do not play in a conference. It's normally like the first game of the season, a team that they normally know that they're going to win. And so this team uses that money for scholarships, university, whatever. But here's the thing about it. The hotel prices normally are typically about $80 or whatever around there, give or take average. And on the game day, it actually ends up being about 350 somewhere around there. So it's astronomical, and they make you buy 2 days in advance. And like I told him, I said, listen, the amount of money comes back into it comes back into the community because here's the thing: the ticket sales. You look at the food that's going to be bought. You look at, what I'm saying, the team that they only go to the Ramada. And so you look at a whole team staying there. I'm thinking roughly about like $300,000. That's literally going to come back into, even if you say 100,000, it's going to come back into the community. And the other thing is too, I talked to some people and they talked about how ticket sales and I talked to businesses, local businesses. They told me that now this is 6 weekends. 6 weekends. They said it's about 30% of their profit. That's 6 weeks, right? So let's say give or take 3 days. 3 days times six, you're looking at about 18. That's 18 days that they literally make that much money that they can say is 30%. And when I tell you it's a lot of money, it truly is. So if Penn State can pay somebody, and Penn State is not the only team that does that. I know Texas, University of Texas, uh, they do that. I'm not sure it's Alabama, but a lot of times they pay these teams to come up there so they can kind of get their practice on against a real team, and it's pretty much the team they know they're going to beat. And so that's why they do that. And also it's like a tax write-off because it goes to university because guess what? It's given to like a charitable donation and stuff like that. So all of that money comes back in here. So the fact that Dion is down there, they're already making money. They're already making money. And listen, they're going to want to put Colorado on TV because everybody's going to want to see it. And you know what I'm saying? They're going to be on TV. Then you look at jersey sales, you're gonna look at ticket sales, all types of things. So I like the fact that he went to Colorado, and I believe that God told him that because it was time for us to expose some things and what we need to do as a people moving forward. You know what I'm saying? How do we move forward with our people? You know what I'm saying? So we can get better. And so we say we want change, but do we really want to be changed? You know what I'm saying? And so this is definitely a move of God, and like God told him, it's time to move. And the one thing about my gift is God will show me something and he will allow me to see it in a way that I can explain it to others or why God allowed it to go this way. Because if you look at all throughout the Bible, when God sent people, it wasn't like everything was just all peaches and cream or roses and everything like that. No, he sent people because he wanted to shake some things up. He wanted to expose some things. And so with Dion going there, it exposed some things when Dion was saying, when they asked him, how do we fix HBCU? And he said, well, starters, we gotta deal with tickets, we gotta tickets, businesses. And so if we listen to his model of what he was saying and we incorporate that in every HBCU, guess what? It would be better. Now, there may be a HBCU that is not dealing with something that of like, everything he's saying, but maybe one or two things. And so let's adapt and let's fix those things and stuff like that. The blueprint, because here's the thing. There's 107 HBCUs. So what about all those coaches that can come and coach at an HBCU and help these kids get their opportunity? Because here's the thing. Some of these kids, coach is their father figure, because their father might not be there. Their father might be missing. Their father might be incarcerated, whatever the case may be. And I've even coached and I've seen that, what I'm saying, that some people see their coach as a father. And, with I commend Dion and what he's doing, he's helping these kids, what I'm saying. And he already told them, even though Colorado is legal, you know, about smoking weed, right? So Dion said, if I catch you, you're not gonna be on the team. So he's teaching them about business, because a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, I've seen one kid, he was going to the NFL and he got caught smoking weed. And he literally, his stock dropped. So he didn't go in the first round like he was supposed to. And that weed, that bag of weed, that dime bag cost him $2 million. That weed better been worth it when we look at business. And so that's what it is. Like I said, the blueprint of going in and helping these kids because they struggle. I seen one kid. He was in a situation with a girl, and she had lied on him, and it almost like ended his career. And so he finally got that off of his. He got it. When they did with the court and unfounded all those things, and he was like, I just want to go play football. And he was like, can somebody help me get back? And that's what I'm talking about. Things like that that we have to do. Because trust me, there's a lot of problems that we need to fix. There's a lot of problems that we need to fix. And so, it says with man it's impossible, with God it's possible. And so, like I said, what God is going to do in this season is you're going to see a Moses and this generation is going to help bring change. And I did have a video, but I didn't have it pinned anymore. But there's going to be change. And he's going to lead people in a way that he can explain things, and it's going to allow Black America to move different. When I say Black America, that's Black people and that's white people that are not racist, and that's any other ethnicity that is cool with the Black community, because we're looking at what has to be changed. And here's the other thing. When I did that research on Black Wall Street and how they tore it down and everything like that, a lot, like, we tried to rebuild, and then they were met with so much resistance that so many people, Black people, didn't want to invest in the Black business because they didn't want to lose anything, so they invested in other businesses, which allowed them not to make that money. And so what happened was we never rebuilt. And if you look at, you take an ant mound and you tear it down, the ants will rebuild. You tear it down again, the ants will rebuild. You tear it down one more time, the ants will rebuild. And so what happened to the Black community? The Asians rebuilt the hair store. The Arab came in and rebuilt the gas stations. They built the corner stores. And here's one thing, I lived in Western Pennsylvania, a small town called Furrow, but there was a guy, said he had a corner store, on George Street, you know, very good guy. Me and him never had no problem or anything like that, man. Cool. I used to come up there and get my WIC for the kids and everything like that. So he was just cool people. And he told me how he got his degree over here, but he wasn't making any money. But he did say this one thing, and it was interesting to me because I paid attention. And so at that time, Hermitage, it was like three small cities, but Hermitage was the biggest city, and Fur was predominantly white. Sharon was like mixed, and Hermitage was predominantly white. And so Fur used to have a lot of businesses, but a lot of those businesses were moved out and moved into Hermitage. And so Mo said when his family came in, they wanted to put a corner store in Hermitage. And this is what they told Mo: if you put your corner store in Hermitage, we're going to tax you like we tax everybody else. But he said, if you put your corner store into the hood, they told him, we're not going to tax you for 7 years. And Mo said, as long as he changes the name, his family changes the name or put in a cousin's name, He said they could continue going 7 years. And Mo said, listen, I said, well, we can definitely put it in the hood because he said, I don't have a problem with black people. So it's interesting that that was something that happened. Not only that, I remember seeing at one of the gas stations, I seen this big long receipt from like Walmart where they would go and buy the 2 liters from Walmart like 89 cents or a dollar, like the Pepsis and stuff like that. They wouldn't buy them from the Pepsi company, but they would buy them from Walmart, come back in and resell it. But yet they're almost $3, $4 for a 2 liter. And that's money from where? The EBT or the food stamps that they had like that, and almost pimping the hood. Man, man, that's not even right. But I understand business. It was just business to them because they could charge whatever they want. You know what I'm saying? That them food stamps that they were getting on that card, guess what? They get that money, they do whatever they want to do with it. And I remember I heard one dude, and I was in the store getting some gas one day, and the guy, one of the dudes was like, yo, let me get some money, bro. He's like, nah. He's like, please let me borrow some money. Like, let me get a loan, man. He's like, I don't even really need this, man. My family, we so rich, man. But that's just how he could talk to him and stuff like that. So, like I said, if you ain't follow me, make sure you follow me. Like I said, we're gonna definitely tackle some things, and so my podcast is going to air every Wednesday, every Sunday. New episodes are going to come up. So season one is almost coming to an end, but definitely it's going to be something. So January we're going to be touching some hot topics. There's going to be some interviews. I'm going to be having a showcase where I'm going to do a episode where I'm going to interview like a small business. I'm going to let them say what they got to say, and so I'll be able to do that with Zoom, and they can partner. You know what I'm saying? And so I want to do that. Also, if you have a small business, let me know. And so if you want to sponsor a show, or if you want to sponsor an episode, you can send me some items or whatever, a shirt, whatever you got, and then I'll showcase that or anything like that. Also, too, I will try to buy few times a month from some people. And I'll buy maybe one item or something like that just to show some support, until I get larger and everything like that. But that's what I want to be able to do now. So I want to be able to do that. So we already got our first one locked in. So that will probably be coming in January, but we definitely got that already. Maybe some I'm going to talk to them. So we may have something in December as well, too. That'll be my first one. So that's what we're going to do. Like I said, we're going to be tackling these things, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, what I'm saying, on my YouTube. And so we're definitely going to be tackling some things. And so if you have any questions or anything like that, or anything that you want me to talk about a topic, make sure you comment and you let me know. So all of y'all on my podcast, I want to thank you for joining and tuning in. This one normally is a little bit more than what I normally stay at. Try to be like 25 to a half hour, but we definitely going to be coming to it. So I want to appreciate y'all. Make sure, like I said, y'all subscribe. Also, too, if you haven't gotten my book, it's called The Desired Marriage. So if you want to get it directly from me, you can comment, or you can hit my webcast, my podcast up. You can hit my website up, you know. So, and we definitely have all of that for you. So the reason why I wrote the book is because nobody ever got married with the intention of getting a divorce. But like I said, we're going to be coming up on here. We're going to be talking about some things as well, too. It is called The Desired Marriage. So that's something as well, too. So I definitely appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for doing my podcast.